Diane Young. Diane will be giving the financial report.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I joined the board a year ago. I'm here in finance committee. I'm very happy to be here. How are we accountable for the money? We were consolidated in January of 2009, and so in your presentation you have the numbers from January to our year end, which is in September of 2009 to September of 2010. And you'll, I'm not going to go into complete details, so I know this is the most riveting part of the today's presentation. But you might, the question I would ask if I was looking at the slide is how come our net assets went down, but our monthly reserves went up? And just so you understand what those numbers are, your monthly reserves is how much operating cash we have on hand that we could put over the checking account or the checks account. So it's very important that when we consolidated that we had less than 3 months operating cash on hand, which happened in January is one of our worst months, to over 7 months in September. So that's a huge progress. But you may say, well, why did our other number go down, Diane? Well, we depreciate a lot of assets. The Girl Scouts owns a lot of buildings, vehicles, and things like that. That has to get written off every year. We also have some pension liabilities that every year they kind of change a little bit, so those kind of go into the numbers. But overall, our financial health is improving tremendously. Our next slide just goes over the financial results, talking about where our money comes from total revenue, where it goes, and at the end of the day, so it is improving. So I want to spend some time talking about why reserves matter. Why do we care how much we have in the bank? I'm sure I'm right. Basically, what this does is helps us during the bad times. If we hadn't had the adequate resources during the Great Recession, it could have been very tough for us to continue to provide programming. I must say the leadership of the CEO of Denise and the CFO, Bonnie, that have been tremendous in helping restore and ensure financial health for this organization. In the second bullet, I'm sort of like a Harry Potter person here. To me, that's something I shall not name. The Voldemort of things, so we won't talk about it, but we want to make sure we're prepared for anything, because that's what good Girl Scouts do. The other thing that makes reserves matter for us is that foundations and funding organizations want to make sure that we're financially viable and healthy. So if we're not healthy, they're less likely to give us money. Other reasons are it's a sound, financially healthy organization makes it easier to recruit skilled and experienced staff, and I think you can see by the examples that we've seen today that makes a huge difference for an organization. Volunteers are difficult to recruit if we are financially stable, and vendors can charge us more money if we're not financially stable. For example, we, with the cookies sale, and had a great year it looks like, because we were able to pay our bill early to Little Brownie, we saved $28,000. Wow. That's huge.
That's salary.
So make sure, let's just make sure that we can continue to provide better and better programming to you. We've gone through a lot of changes. There's been a lot of cleanup, a lot of consolidation of accounts. So, you know, they may think that a certain place had tables and chairs in the troop, and they find out it wasn't. So there's been a lot of cleanup of assets and accounts and things like that. So it's been a lot of hard work. So where does the money come from? 79% comes from product sales. So that entrepreneurial video we just saw is because of the leadership of our volunteers and our young ladies out there selling cookies. And then the rest comes from program service fees, and then small parts, less than 10% from grants, contributions, and other public support. Where the money goes, 37% goes to troop-related programs, and then fundraising, camp-related programs, which is very important, I know, to all of us. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some of our accomplishments with the Finance Committee and the Finance Department. Some of the big things that we accomplished this year was this and selected health insurance providers. We want to always make sure that we're getting the best deal for our organization. We looked at investment advisors and oversight of the various investments, and we have finalized reports to provide transparency to the board and to our community. We have our audited financials are on the website. The next big item that's probably more relevant to everything you guys do is our Troop Banking Task Force, and they're going to be working on making it easier for our troops to do banking. We're out discussing it with all the banks. We want to make it so that when someone walks in from a troop and says, I'm with the Girl Scouts, that the red carpet rolls out as best we can. So we're going to be working very hard on that. It's already in process, and it's fabulous. We're going to try to do it by carrots for everyone here. Meaning, I'd like to make it so that you can go to the website, drop down, figure out who the best banks in your area are to work with, who's going to offer free or at least low-cost banking. As you know, the banking world has gone through a tremendous amount of change lately. Now many are starting to charge a lot of fees and that. And on a small troop, a couple bucks a month, I added up for our troop was like an extra 200 boxes of cookies to be sold, which can be significant. So that, I'm not going to read all these things, but you can see some of the things the Troop Banking Task Force is looking at. I do want to give you a heads up on some of the things that may be coming down the road. We're not exactly sure, it could be 3 to 5 years, but some CPA firms for auditing purposes, and we're getting the impression from the IRS that they, at some point, they want us to include all our troop bank accounts on our audited statements. So one of the reasons we're looking at is we're looking for banks that have great internet capabilities. We're really ahead of the game, and finally, our CFO deserves a lot of credit for looking down the horizon and making us aware. We're not there yet, so don't panic. But that's why we're working so hard on this. Just be aware of that. In the meantime, there's going to be some new forms for our open troop accounts. You should be able to find these on the website as it gets rolled out. There'll be new templates for financial reports for the troops and training materials. We're working with many of the banks to develop training materials for our adult volunteers as well as our Girl Scout girls to help them become better bankers and better financial people in their own lives, because we are the largest training ground for entrepreneurs, and knowing how to manage money is part of running a business. So with that, is there any questions for me? Yes?
Comment. Citizens Bank is based in Flint, and I know the Citizens Bank is online, which is where we're from. They give us a free check. Not only that, but Michelle, I don't know if she covers the cost, but she also does a check for free. So maybe you guys can look at it.
They're one of the banks to be examined. We just sent out a request for proposal to look at the large footprint of our area, because obviously one bank does not serve 11 counties. It's very difficult. So what we try to do is go out to the major providers geographically and get them to be part of this. Some aren't there technologically. We also realize that a lot of small communities have little, Joe's Bank or whatever, I won't say, you know what I mean, that local 3-branch community bank. It's easy for you to do it with them also if that's the best provider for you. But it's still very hard. And the other thing that's very difficult for us at this time is that if someone, a troop leader, had an account and left the state, make that troop disbanded, and there's money left in that account, we have no way of getting it. None. And it's thousands of dollars that are just sitting there, and there's nothing we can do. I think there's a couple other questions. Yes?
Are you looking into credit unions also?
We're looking at a lot of different providers, man. If you have a bank that you think is just, or a credit union, Bobby's waving her hands back there. Just talk to you, Bobby, or if you want to?
Yeah, let me know if you got specific banks that you want to
Yeah, send it to Bonnie Reyes, our CFO. She will put them on the list. We'll send them an RFP to get them out there. Yes, the back.
My question is, since 2009, prior to that, you had an EIN number. Now there's a new EIN number. Which number is the correct number to use?
Bonnie?
The new one, when we consolidated, when we merged up council back in January '09, then we applied to the IRS, let them know what was going on, that we had these organizations and all, councils that were merging, they all had their own EIN number, and then one survived. So
here, use the new EIN, employee identification number. Their banks are notifying us that some are on the old one, and we'll get that corrected as time. But just, again, communicate with Bonnie, our CFO. As you can see, we want an open organization here. Feel free to email her. She can get it. Any other questions? Great. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Sunquist.